This support uses less material than tree supports and removes in a fraction of the second. But almost everybody creates these the wrong way. In this video, we're going to show you how to use support fins on your parts, going from the simplest to the most advanced. So why does this matter? Well, supports in 3D printed parts are generally automatically generated. They may be the standard straight supports or they might be tree supports. And these have historically been fine, but they're a generic solution that are not universally useful and are a really bad option if you ever want to scale up products. At Slant 3D, we make real final 3D printed products, so we want them to be as efficient as possible when being created. And in order to create efficiency, you can't really use a generic solution. So imagine you're mass producing 1,000 parts. Auto-generated supports are probably going to be kind of miserable to pick at and pull off. You'll want to design supports of some sort. Now, we have several videos about how to design supports, but today we're going to talk about support fins themselves. Support fins are a specific subtype of support that are used mainly for holding up parts in a diagonal position. The reason you'd want to hold a part in a diagonal position is just to make sure that it looks good on all sides. Normally, if you're 3D printing a part like a cube like this, you end up with a top surface and a bottom surface, and those will end up looking different. But if you just angle the part up on an edge like this, then you end up with something that has great edges on all the edges of the part, and you get a product that is way higher quality. So that is a reason to take a part from here up to here. Now, the issue with taking a cube from a flat side up to like that is that a cube doesn't really want to stand there. And very often, let's just be honest, you're not generally working on a perfect cube. You're working on something that's more oblong, something square like this, that's going to sit up there like that. You generally don't have something that's perfectly balanced where the center of gravity is right over the center point. You might have it sit like this, or it might have more of a body coming out the top like this. All of these are reasons to be concerned and want to support this part underneath to make sure it doesn't fall over. So that is the reason for introducing something like a support fin. Using design supports in these sort of setups also ensure that your part is always printed perfectly correctly, regardless of the material, regardless of the print settings, regardless of who is getting it made. Because if you want to send this file out into the world to be made by someone else or made by someone's printer, you need it to be as robust as possible. And designing all of this stuff in CAD gives you something that is as robust as it can possibly be. Okay, so those are all the reasons for going in and wanting to do design supports and then specifically wanting to do support fins, because support fins let you hold a part at a diagonal so that all the edges can look really good and the part can be stronger overall. Okay, so how do we normally do this? Well, most everybody will take a cube, they'll say, well, it's flat right here, let me just put it up on its edge, and then let me put a triangle down underneath there. Great, done. Well, there's a couple issues that come up with all this. You might notice how these outer edges are all really sharp right here. None of those want to sit on the print bed, but people will take a part from here and then put them up on the edge, which means that you have a single line on that first layer. And if your support, if you have any sort of deviation at all or warping or defects, then that first line immediately gets peeled off the bed and the part falls off to the side and you end up with something like this. This is something to be avoided, where the print fails halfway through because it just wasn't stuck down very well. The thing you want to do is actually add at least a small, about 2mm wide chamfer onto the bottom so that you have contact area with the bed. That way you have a flat surface for this part to sit on so that it looks good all the time. And you just add that small chamfer, and if you want to mirror it, you can put it over onto the other side. The very first version of a support fin is in fact just a rectangular triangle there. You go ahead and are designing it in CAD like this, and then you draw a triangle over on the other side with one side that will be parallel with that bottom chamfer so that you know it's all flush, and then it'll sit down on the print bed just like this. And this is spaced exactly 0.2mm away, the same way support would be. And you actually end up with support that is really strong and reliable because this is spaced out, it's a separate body, it has exactly the distance that you need from the other part, and you get something that's really reliable and it will now hold that cube up. And if you really want to be fancy, you can put one on the other side too so it doesn't fall away. But this is the issue with these types of just generically designed supports that don't touch the main body. You end up with an issue where literally is what happened with this cube right here. You can see the failure up here because it went and it fell over while it was printing. It had a triangle right here holding it up just fine, all dandy, everything should be great. But if you take your hand away, it wants to fall away from the triangle. This doesn't constrain it, it only holds it in one direction. Now you can help by putting this onto the other side just like this, but that's kind of an issue. The other problem that we have is that the support itself may fail. This first piece of support that is designed just like this doesn't have a lot of contact with the print bed. So it could potentially just fall off or fall away itself when printing, and you end up with kind of a complex first layer where you have multiple islands that can peel up and cause issues. So the first thing to do, let's go ahead, before fixing the problem with the brick falling over just like this, let's go ahead and fix the issue with the support and just make it more reliable. Let's go ahead and just add a little bit wider bed to the base to the bottom of it so that it holds up a bit easier. You can just add a circle. Now it has a lot of good contact area with the bed, so it will now, the support at least will not fall away. You know that it will stably hold it up. Make sure that these small discs are always 1 millimeter thick. That way they peel off from the bed without leaving some sort of veneer down there on the bed that you don't want. Because you certainly don't want to have to try to scrape your bed off when you're trying to make thousands of these. Okay, that's all well and good. We've made the triangle a little bit stronger and a little bit more reliable. And actually, if we want to go ahead and evolve that support a bit more, we can go ahead and use an entire ellipsis down on the bottom, and now you have something even better. And technically, since this support is just supporting the cube from falling backwards and forwards, it doesn't even need to be that thick. Since we made the base bigger, we can make the fin smaller. So now we have a nice thin little triangle that'll just sit there and support it, but has a nice big old broad base that will peel off easily, and that can support this cube there. And now just by doing that, you can get something way more reliable than what you had before, to where this cube will actually come off once or twice. But you still have the issue of the cube falling away from the support. And again, you could put support on the other side, but now you're wasting material. Let's be a little bit more clever than that. Instead of having that support fall away, let's just make it a part of the part. That way, this support holds the part together the whole time, and you kind of get the benefit of this big old wide base holding this brick down if for some reason one of these edges starts to peel. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect and combine this support into the main body. This also cleans up issues when printing parts, because now you have one single STL rather than multiple ones, so it's really easy to tell what bodies are involved and if it's all still there or not when people are looking at models. Now, this is where everybody goes wrong, because if you're gonna go ahead and have the support connected right here, well, you can just run some tines straight through. You just want some small little parts that will break away so that this comes away, right? And almost everyone will design them like this. You will have the triangle, it will be right there, and then down here, you will design it to where these tines are perpendicular to the surface of the cube that you're trying to print. But here is the issue of what you've just created here. Each one of these tines is now an individual layer. These tines are grown up, so they can break off really easily and they leave a lot of defective material behind. So this becomes rigid. It will keep the cube from falling away from it right here, just like this if it's on the print bed right here. But these tines are really, really frail. So they can fail, or they just might not print directly, because again, these are printing on the bed just like this. So the nozzle has to try to put just a small amount of material on there. And if you're designing based on the rest of the video that we're gonna discuss, and you have them at this angle to where they're built up one layer at a time, then these may not print at all, and they may not contact your main brick. I made these thick enough to where they would work, but they're just not very reliable, because the nozzle has to put just a tiny amount of material on each one of those. This is the worst way of doing it because it's very unreliable, and you end up with defects on here that are really tough to remove because they're one layer thick, and it's just not strong enough to hold it off. Also, when you pull this off, you very often won't take the fin with you. It just creates a lot of issues. You have too many retractions, these tines may not print reliably, and if one of them goes, you might lose your whole part with you. So whenever designing these tines, do not design them like this. The tines instead should always be horizontal. This is a bad version of tines. This is the right way of doing it. Now, you can see the difference here. These tines on this part are perfectly horizontal. What does this do? Well, number one, the tine prints in the same layer line, so you have one continuous layer holding these together, just like this, right in here. So the nozzle comes around here, prints into there, crosses the tine, prints the nozzle, comes back across the tine, comes out, and then it's done. There was never a retraction. Whereas here with this cube and these, you have the nozzle print along here, then hop over, print part of the tine, then hop over, do some of the fins, and then hop back to the tine, and then hop back to the body. It's just a way more inefficient machine process, which creates something weaker. So let's just put that to the side. So if you're looking at these types of tines to where they're printed on the print bed just like this, you can see that they're fully horizontal and they're reliable. Here's the issue with these. One adjustment that I also want to point out is we've gone from a pointy fin to a rounded fin. This is a little bit of chef's kiss on top of it all because again, it eliminates a retraction point that could cause a defect or just never get there. No reason to have a sharp little point anywhere. You don't need it because it just creates complication for your machine. Get rid of it. It wasn't doing anything up there, so just round out the top. Other than that, the whole fin is the same. Now, we've exaggerated this spacing here. We're gonna go into a perfectly designed fin here, but I want to exaggerate this just for a moment so people can see. Because again, it's really important to design these things correctly. We operate a print service called Teleport, where anyone in the planet can use our giant print farm with hundreds and hundreds of machines to print and ship items for them. The way it works is Teleport will plug into your Etsy store store or your Shopify, and when you get an order, one of our printers will fire up, print out the item, and we will ship it straight to a customer for you. This means that sellers no longer have to worry about running a print farm, changing out filament at 2 in the morning, and spending time packing boxes and post-processing parts. They can focus on designing new products and taking care of their customers so that their business can actually grow. So Teleport is a really great resource for designers who are creating interested 3D printing products, because now they can actually get them made and delivered and not have to run a print farm in their basement to do it. So if you're interested in that and you're looking to scale up your 3D printing business, you might check out Teleport over at slantpod.com. Designing parts so that they can work in those types of services is what is necessary to make sure they're as cheap as possible, as efficient as possible, and come out with really, really good quality. So you're trying to make this perfect cube, and you want to use support fins. Number one, make sure the tines are horizontal. Make sure that you have a flat surface to fit on. But now let's really optimize this. Let's make this actually good. Because if I go ahead and pull off this fin just like this, I gotta bend at it a little bit because I've made them in the plane of the layer lines, so now they don't fatigue and just snap off. And if I twist, they'll break a little bit dirty, some of them will tear off, and since I made them kind of big, you're gonna have little wellets and pellets there. So this is an issue. We don't want this in production, because this just turned into a job where I'm snipping and cleaning, and oh, I marred that up, and oh no, I scratched the side of that cube while I was messing with it. All of this is bad. You don't want those things included in this part at all. Let's see how we would actually design a support fin. Well, let's go ahead and look at this right here. Here's the support fin, and I can pop it off right there, and you can see that that came away instantly. The way this one was designed is that the support tines themselves, these little fins right here, these are called tines. These are made to be a single layer line thick. When designing right here, and the tines are horizontal, vertically in this direction, they will be 0.3 millimeters thick. And then in the width, they will be 0.4 to 0.8 millimeters thick. That is the width of a nozzle. So if you make them 0.4 thick, one nozzle pass will be as thick as your tines. And if you make them 0.8, then it'll be nozzle pass in and a nozzle pass back out. I like to make it as small as possible. That way the divots, when you break them off, are as small as possible. Look at the difference here. So these were about 1 millimeter size tines when we were using this older fin. These are the 0.5 by 0.5, and you can see that they have basically no presence at all. And if I gave this part fuzzy skin, then you wouldn't be able to see these in any sort of context. And now these parts and pieces can basically just be rubbed off, and now all of those are gone, and you just have a few of these pockmarks. Now I put 7 to 8 of these tines in to make sure that it was supported right from the start when the part is being grown up. Because when the part is being grown up and you have this small triangle, you want support down here by the lower edges to make sure it's as stable as soon as possible. Otherwise you could have a print failure. As you get higher, you could spread them out more, and I like to have them every few layers to, again, just make sure that everything is fully reinforced. But really, once you're kind of done down at the bottom, you're good. And I probably could have gotten away with about 5 tines on this part here, rather than the 7 or 8 that I put there. But they're thin, they peel away just immediately, but they hold the part because you have the strength of a single bead of filament keeping this balanced. And this isn't gonna heave ho on it, like you don't have a garbage machine, hopefully, or you're not trying to stop a blob from getting drug around up there. So they can be very thin because all they are stabilizing factors that keep it from falling backwards or keep it from falling forwards. And since they are perfectly horizontal when the part is being printed right here, then you know that you are going to be able to have a strong, reliable space. Layers aren't going to delaminate, a retraction won't miss. You're just going to feed a continuous line straight through that fin and back into the other one. So you have a really stable, reliable hold on that cube, so it can never go wrong. Here's the issue though. We're really wanting to make these parts look really good, and we also want them to be really easy to move. This center spot puts those dots right out there in the middle of the face where you just do not want to see them. So why would you do that? Well, fortunately, you don't really have to. You could just place them here on the edge. This is basically a perfect support fin to where you've moved it over to one edge and you have really high stability. This is also useful because if this cube was really deep, as in this side was really, really long, you wouldn't want just one fin over here because it could basically twist and fall over because you have all of this body down here needing to be held up as well. So you want to make sure that this end is supported as well, otherwise you could have warp and all kinds of other issues. So if you were designing this, then you would just put another support fin over on this side right here. And now you've stabilized it in both directions. You have these nice tight little support fins. And ultimately, when you peel it away, again, it just pulls away instantly, perfectly cleanly. You rub it off the corner, and now no one can even tell that this existed. Generically generated support material will never do this. This only comes from really intentional design to where you can get a perfect part out every single time without having to worry about anything else. because this part is one single STL. It's a single CAD file to where I can upload it anywhere and it will immediately print and will come out right every time. It can also be scaled up and still print on a bigger machine, or scaled down and still print reliably most of the time. But support fins and design support is just an excellent way of improving the quality of a part so that you get something really high quality that is produced really reliably, so it is cheaper, better quality, and delivered faster because there aren't issues. You also know exactly what's going to happen. If you use auto-generated support, you don't always know where the support is going to generate. The tree might go out the side, or the regular support might show up in a weird spot, or it might not be spaced appropriately. When you use design support, and especially design support that is embedded in the part, as in the tines are connected to it, you're no longer dependent on print settings. It will place material right there, and you know it will happen every time, regardless of the machine, regardless of the flow rates of the material, and you know it will be held together well, regardless of the machine, regardless of the strength or flow rates of the material. So using design supports, and specifically using grip fins, give you a part with really clean edges all the way around. It is stronger because you have diagonal lines rather than horizontal, and you get a super good quality surface finish because you put it over on a corner where nobody could spot it. Just make sure that your tines are horizontal. Give it as wide of a base as possible so that you know it's going to stick down to the print bed, and then make those horizontal tines holding it together just as narrow as they can possibly be, which is generally about a 0.5 millimeter vertical and horizontal width, and that will cover you pretty darn well. Move it to the corner, and now you have a perfect print every single time, regardless of whatever it is that you're actually making. And if you're running a 3D print business and looking to scale up to where you could use 1,000 machines on tap, go ahead and check out Teleport over on slatpod.com, or unsubscribe for tons of other videos talking about how to design parts for mass production and final product 3D printing. Have a great day, everybody.